My husband slapped me in our bedroom and told me to move out, because his pregnant mistress needed my bed. I didn't scream, I didn't cry. I just handed him an envelope, and that was the moment everything fell apart. Ashley was standing by the dresser when it happened, wearing my robe. Soft pink, faded a little at the sleeves. My daughter Megan gave it to me last Mother's Day, said it looked cozy but still cute, Mom. I remember laughing at that, 51 years old and still trying to be cute. It hung loose on Ashley's frame, but she'd tied it tight around her waist, pulling it in so her belly showed. One hand rested there like she belonged. That was the first thing that hit me. Not the slap, not yet. That robe. I had been folding laundry on the bed, Mark's shirts, my sweaters, a couple of kitchen towels still warm from the dryer. The room smelled like detergent and that lavender softener I always buy from Costco. Familiar? Safe. Then Mark walked in behind her like he owned the place. No hesitation, no build-up. Moved to the guest room. Just like that. I actually thought I'd heard him wrong. 23 years of marriage, and that's how he starts a conversation. I'm not moving anywhere, I said. Calm. I surprised myself with how calm I sounded. That's when he said it. She's pregnant with my child, take care of her or leave. Flat. Like he was talking about rearranging furniture. For a second I just stared at him. Not even angry. Just trying to understand how we got here. This man, this house, this moment. Then I shook my head. Number. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic. Just no. The slap came quick. Not the kind you see in movies, no big crack, no echo. Just a dull, heavy impact. My head turned slightly to the side. My ears rang, the room tilted just enough to feel wrong. And suddenly I couldn't smell the laundry anymore. Just that faint metallic taste in my mouth. I didn't fall, I didn't cry. I just stood there. Ashley didn't laugh out loud. That would have been easier, honestly. Instead, she gave this small smile. Tight, certain, like she'd already moved in, already replaced me, already picked out where she'd put her makeup in my bathroom. Her fingers brushed the belt of my robe. My robe. I remember thinking I've slept next to this man for over 2 decades, and now he's giving my bed away like it's a spare chair. That thought didn't make me angry. It made something in me go quiet. Very quiet. Mark looked at me like he was waiting for a reaction. Yelling, crying, begging maybe. I didn't give him any of that. Instead, I turned and walked out of the room. My cheek was warm, not even painful yet, just warm. The hallway felt longer than usual. The house felt different, like I was walking through someone else's place. I went straight to the cabinet near the stairs, the one where I keep documents, extra batteries, old insurance papers, the boring stuff, the things you don't think about until you need them. I opened it, reached in, pulled out a large manila envelope. I'd put it together that morning. Didn't know I'd be using it this soon. When I walked back into the bedroom, neither of them had moved much. Ashley was sitting on the edge of the bed now. My bed. Mark standing beside her, arms crossed, already annoyed like I was taking too long. I held out the envelope. For you, I said. He looked confused for half a second, then amused. What is this? He asked, taking it. Just read it. He gave a little smirk. That same one he used when he thought someone was overreacting. Like everything was manageable, like he was in control. He opened it. Started flipping through the pages. Bank statements, ownership documents, a few printed emails. Nothing flashy. He skimmed fast, barely paying attention. I could see it in his face. He thought this was going to be some emotional nonsense. Divorce threats. Maybe a dramatic letter. Ashley leaned over slightly, trying to see. He kept turning pages. Still calm. Still confident. Then he reached the last one. And stopped. It was subtle at first. His eyes paused, just a second longer than before. Then he blinked, slower. Went back. Read it again. I watched the shift happen in real time. The color drained from his face like someone turned a switch. His mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. Ashley straightened beside him. What is it? She asked, a little sharper now. He didn't answer. His hand tightened on the paper. Then loosened. Then tightened again. Mark, she said. He looked up at me. Not angry anymore. Not confident. Confused. Panicked. Like he'd just stepped somewhere and realized the ground wasn't solid. His knees buckled. Just like that. He grabbed the bedpost to steady himself, but it didn't hold him. He dropped down onto the carpet, one hand still clutching the page. Ashley stood up fast. "What's wrong with you?" He didn't answer her either. Just stared at that paper like it had changed everything he thought he knew. Which it had. I didn't move. Didn't explain. Didn't rush in to help. I just stood there looking at the man I'd built a life with, and realized something simple. I hadn't handed him revenge in that envelope. I'd handed him the truth, and he had no idea what to do with it. 6 months earlier, nothing looked broken from the outside. That's the part people don't understand. If you had driven past our house in Carmel, you would have seen the same porch lights, the same trimmed lawn, the same 2 cars in the driveway. If you'd stopped by the showroom, you would have seen Mark shaking hands, smiling, talking about quartz countertops like he always did. And me. I was still there too. Just fading a little. I didn't notice it all at once. It doesn't happen that way. It's small things, quiet things. Mark started going to the gym more. At first I thought it was good. We're in our 50s, taking care of yourself matters. But then came the new clothes, fitted golf shirts, brighter colors, brands he'd never cared about before. He started checking his reflection in the hallway mirror. That was new. His phone changed too, always face down, always within reach. He used to leave it on the kitchen counter without thinking. Now it went with him everywhere, even the bathroom. Late nights started creeping in. Supplier dinner, client meeting, traffic was bad. All reasonable, all believable. That's the dangerous part. Nothing obvious enough to accuse, just enough to make you feel off. I remember one afternoon at the showroom. I had stopped by to drop off some paperwork. Mark was talking to one of the younger sales guys, and Ashley was standing nearby laughing at something he said. He called her kiddo, in front of everyone. And the way he said it, easy familiar, it landed wrong in my chest. Later, when I asked him about it, he shrugged. "You're reading too much into things, Denise. You've been emotional lately." That word. Emotional. He started using it like a tool, every time I asked a question, every time something didn't sit right. "You're being emotional, you're overthinking, relax." And slowly, I did what a lot of women my age do. I adjusted. I got quieter, picked my moments, told myself I didn't want to start fights over nothing. But here's the truth. It wasn't the possibility of another woman that hurt the most. It was something else. Something harder to explain. He stopped seeing me. Not in a dramatic way, not like we stopped talking completely. Worse. He looked right through me. Like I was part of the room, like the couch, the kitchen table. Something that had always been there and didn't need attention anymore. That's when I started paying attention. Not emotionally. Practically. I began with small things. Credit card statements, business expenses, receipts that didn't make sense. There was one charge that stuck with me. A lunch at a place in Fishers, almost $20 for a salad. I remember thinking that was expensive even by today's standards. Then I saw the details. Extra bacon. I actually laughed out loud. Clean eating, I muttered to myself. I didn't know why that bothered me so much. Maybe because it felt fake, like everything else. That's when I decided I needed facts, not feelings. I met with our accountant first, quietly, told him I was reviewing some numbers. Nothing unusual about that, we'd done it before. Then I pulled out the old documents from when my mother passed. She left me the house, not just emotionally, legally, protected in a trust. At the time, it didn't feel important. We were married. What was mine was his and vice versa. At least that's what I believed. Then came the business. Back in 2013, when Mark wanted to expand the showroom, I used part of my inheritance to make it happen. I didn't think twice about it. We were building something together. But paperwork doesn't forget. And neither do percentages. 62%. That's what I owned. I sat at the kitchen table going through those documents, the overhead light casting that same yellow glow it always had. The house was quiet. Too quiet. That's when something else surfaced. A piece of mail Mark had left unopened. Medical. I wouldn't have touched it before, not years ago, but something in me had shifted by then. I opened it. A lab report. Clinical, straightforward, numbers and terms I didn't fully understand at first. But one line stood out. 0 motile sperm. I read it again. Then again. My heart didn't race, I didn't panic. I just sat there. The kitchen clock ticked behind me, the refrigerator hummed. Somewhere down the street a dog barked. Normal sounds? In a moment that wasn't normal anymore. I pulled out my phone. Counted backward. Dates. Weeks. Months. And then it clicked. Ashley was pregnant. But according to this report, Mark couldn't have gotten her that way. I leaned back in the chair. Stared at the ceiling. I expected to feel something dramatic. Relief, anger, vindication. Instead, I felt tired. Just deeply bone-deep tired. 23 years of marriage. 2 kids. A house full of memories. And it all came down to this. A lie sitting on top of another lie. I remember thinking I don't even know who I'm married to anymore. But I didn't confront him. Not then. Because by that point I understood something important. If I came at him with emotions, he'd dismiss me. If I came at him with accusations, he'd twist it. So I did something different. I stayed quiet. And I kept watching. That's when I heard about the October event. Our showroom's 12-year anniversary. Big turnout. Clients, contractors, local business people. The kind of event where Mark liked to show off. Someone mentioned he was planning to make an announcement. I didn't ask what kind. I already knew. That was the moment everything became clear. If he wanted to replace me publicly, I wasn't going to stop him. I was going to let him do it. At exactly the right time. The night he slapped me, I didn't go back into that bedroom. I grabbed my purse, my keys, nothing else. Didn't even change my shoes. I walked out the front door like I was just stepping out to check the mail. But I didn't stop. I got in the car, shut the door, and just sat there. Didn't start the engine. Didn't turn on the air. Just sat. It was still warm for September in Indiana, the kind of heat that sticks to your skin. The inside of the car felt heavy, like the air wasn't moving. My cheek throbbed a little now. Not sharp pain, just a dull reminder. I stared at the steering wheel. Then my hands. They were shaking. I didn't notice when it started. I didn't try to stop it. I just sat there. Then I started crying. Not the quiet kind. Not the kind where you wipe your face and pull yourself together. The kind where it just comes out. Messy, loud, ugly. I grabbed a fast food napkin from the cup holder. It tore in my hand within seconds. I didn't even care. One shoe slipped halfway off my foot. I didn't fix it. Time passed. I don't know how long. Eventually I turned the key. Drove without thinking. Ended up in the Meijer parking lot off 116th Street. I parked far out, away from the store lights, away from people. Turned the engine off again. Sat there, breathing, trying to get my head straight. My phone buzzed. I ignored it at first. Then it buzzed again. Paula, my younger sister. I answered. Denise, she said, you okay? I opened my mouth to say yes. Nothing came out. She heard it anyway. Where are you? Meijer, I managed. Parking lot. I'm coming. No, I started. Too late, she hung up. That's Paula, always has been. She got there in maybe 15 minutes. Knocked on my window like I was a teenager sneaking out. I unlocked the door. She took one look at my face and said, oh, hell no. Not loud, not dramatic. Just certain. What happened? I told her. Not everything, just enough. Her jaw tightened the whole time. He hit you. I nodded. She sat back in the seat, stared straight ahead for a second. Then we're not going back there tonight. I know. Good. She reached over, took my hand, squeezed it. We're going to my place. Then tomorrow we call a lawyer. And the police. And if you want, I'll drive over there myself and... Paula. She stopped. I'm not doing this loud. She looked at me confused. He already thinks I'm emotional, I said. I'm not giving him that. There was a long pause. Then she nodded slowly. Okay, she said, then we do it your way. The next 72 hours were a blur. But also strangely clear. Like once I decided everything lined up. First the practical things. I went to urgent care. Got the bruise documented. The doctor didn't ask too many questions. He didn't have to. Then the police report. Felt strange sitting there describing something that happened in my own bedroom like it was just another incident. Did he strike you with an open hand? Yes. Any prior history of violence? Number. That one stuck in my throat. 23 years? And this was the first time. That mattered to me more than it probably should have. After that, I met with the attorney, same one who handled my mother's trust years ago. He listened, took notes, asked questions. When I told him about the house, the business, the documents, he nodded like he already saw where this was going. You're in a stronger position than you think, he said. I didn't feel strong, but I understood what he meant. We started preparing, not for a fight, for clarity. Ownership papers, financial records, documentation of expenses. Everything clean, organized, undeniable. I also called the accountant. Told him to preserve all business records. No changes, no deletions. He didn't ask why. He didn't need to. Then came the hardest part. Telling the kids. Luke came over first. He's 21 now, taller than his father, strong. When I told him, his face changed in a way I'd never seen before. Where is he asked. Luke. Where is he? He's at the house. He stood up so fast the chair scraped across the floor. I'm going over there. No, you're not. He looked at me like I'd lost my mind. He hit you. I know. And you want me to do nothing. I want you to not make this worse. That took a minute. A long one. Then he sat back down. Ran his hands through his hair. Okay, he said finally, okay. But his leg kept bouncing under the table. Megan came the next day. She cried the moment I said Ashley's name. I met her, she said, at the Christmas party. She seemed normal. I didn't say anything to that. What do you even say? That people can seem normal and still wreck your life. Instead, I just held her. Let her cry. That night I stayed at Paula's. Guest room? Ceiling fan above me clicking every few seconds. Click. Pause. Click. Pause. I stared at it in the dark. Thought about everything. About leaving. About staying. About just letting it all go. Twice I almost called Mark. Just to end it quietly. Just to avoid the mess. The talking, the looks, the questions. Because blowing up his life meant blowing up mine too. But then I remembered something. That envelope. That last page. I hadn't even told Paula about it yet. The medical report. 0 motile sperm. Proof. Not loud. Not dramatic. But undeniable. I knew then I wasn't going to use it right away. That wasn't the move. The move was timing. And that's when I heard about the event. Showroom anniversary. Big turnout. Mark planning to make some kind of announcement. I didn't ask what. I didn't need to. That was going to be his moment. And I decided it was going to be mine too. The next day, Paula dragged me to Macy's. You need something to wear, she said. I have clothes. Not for what you're about to do. I didn't argue. I tried on a navy blazer. Structured, clean, sharp. I stood in front of the mirror. For a second, I didn't see a woman falling apart. I saw someone steady. Paula crossed her arms behind me. If you're going to bury him, she said, at least look expensive. I almost smiled. Almost. The showroom smelled like coffee and polished stone the morning of the event. Panera had delivered early those big silver air pots lined up on the side counter, steam still curling out when you lifted the lid. There were trays of pastries, little paper signs about fall discounts, and a handful of contractors already walking around with cups in their hands talking about measurements and timelines like it was any other day. But it wasn't. You could feel it. There's a certain kind of energy in a room when people think something good is about to happen. That's what it felt like. Light, expectant, a little loud. Mark thrived in that kind of space. I saw him before he saw me. Standing near the front display, one hand in his pocket, the other gesturing as he talked. Laughing, confident. Like nothing in his life had shifted at all. Ashley was next to him. Cream-colored dress. Simple but fitted. Her hand rested on her stomach again, same as before. That quiet claim. People were smiling at her, congratulating her. I caught a few words as I walked in. Congratulations, Mark. Big news, huh? Starting a new chapter? I kept walking. Navy blazer, dark jeans, low heels, nothing flashy. Just put together. My attorney stood off to the side near the entrance. The accountant a few feet behind him pretending to check his phone. Both of them knew the plan. No one else did. Mark finally noticed me. I watched the exact moment it registered. The slight pause. The tightening at the corners of his eyes. Then the quick recovery. He smiled. Not warm, not real. Controlled. Well, he said, stepping toward me, didn't expect to see you here. I'm still part of this business, I said. He gave a small laugh. Let's not make a scene today, Denise. We can talk later. I nodded. Of course. That seemed to relax him. That was his mistake. I waited. Let the room fill a little more. Listened to the hum of voices, the clink of coffee cups, the low background music someone had turned on near the back. Then I walked up to the front. Can I have a moment? I asked one of the staff members, gesturing toward the small microphone setup they'd arranged for Mark's announcement. He hesitated, then nodded. Sure, Denise. I took the microphone. Tapped it once. The sound carried. People started turning. Conversation slowed. Mark frowned slightly, stepping closer. I didn't look at him. I looked at the room. Good morning, I said. My voice came out steady. Stronger than I felt. Thank you all for being here. I know a lot of you have supported this business for years. A few nods, smiles. Familiar faces. We've built something here over the past 12 years. And a lot of that has nothing to do with me or Mark. It's the people in this room who kept showing up, kept trusting us. That part was true. And I wanted it said. Then I took a breath. And because of that, I want to be clear about something important. Mark stepped closer now. Denise, he started. I raised my hand slightly. Not dramatic. Just enough. I'm not finished. The room went quieter. You could feel it shift. I am the majority owner of this company. That landed. Not loudly, but heavily. I saw it ripple through the crowd. A contractor near the back blinked. Someone whispered, "Wait, what?" Mark's expression changed. Fast. Denise, this is not... It is, I said calmly. Then I continued. And effective immediately, Mark Harper is being removed from operations pending a financial review. That did it. Voices broke out. Low at first. Then louder. What's going on? Is this serious financial review? Ashley stepped forward. This is ridiculous, she said, sharp, defensive. She's just bitter. I finally looked at her. Really looked. Up close, she looked younger than I remembered. Nervous even under all that confidence. Ashley, I said. Her name hung there. You deserve to know something before you decide how far you want to go with this. Mark shook his head quickly. Don't. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't rush. I'm not here to embarrass you, I said, and I'm not here to shame you. That part mattered. I'm here because the truth should matter more than whatever story you've been told. She hesitated. Just a second. That was enough. I reached into my folder. Pulled out a single sheet of paper. Held it up, not waving it, not dramatic. Just visible. This is a medical report, I said, from earlier this year. Mark's face went pale again. I could see it happening all over. Slow, unavoidable. He was tested months before you got pregnant. The room had gone completely still now. No music. No chatter. Just silence. I let it sit. 1 second. 2. 3. He had 0 motile sperm. No one moved. Ashley looked at Mark. Is that true? He opened his mouth. Closed it. Shook his head. It's his report, I said quietly, from his doctor. He tried again. It's outdated, it's not. From June, I said. That ended it. Whatever he was going to say fell apart. Ashley took a small step back. Her hand dropped from her stomach. And in that moment I saw it. Not anger. Not pride. Just realization. The kind that hits hard and fast and doesn't ask permission. I didn't press further. Didn't need to. I'm not here to tear down a pregnant woman, I said, still calm. I'm here to make sure one man doesn't keep using people like they're replaceable. Then I turned back to the room. There will be a formal review of the company's finances. All operations will continue under new management. My attorney stepped forward slightly. That made it official. Real. Mark looked like he was trying to hold himself together. But it wasn't working. A bead of sweat slid down his temple. His breathing was off. He reached for the edge of one of the display beds behind him. Missed it the first time. Caught it the second. Then sat down. Hard. Right there on the showroom floor. On one of those high-end display beds he used to brag about selling. The irony didn't escape me. No one laughed. No one spoke. They just watched. Because at that point, there was nothing left to say. I stepped back from the microphone. Set it down carefully. Then before I walked away, I said one last thing. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just clear. I'm not going anywhere. The house felt different the first night I came back alone. Not empty. Just quieter. The kind of quiet you notice in places that used to be filled with noise. The refrigerator hum. The soft creak in the hallway floor. The way the air settles at night. I stood in the bedroom doorway for a long time. The bed was stripped, sheets gone, pillows stacked awkwardly at the corner like someone had left in a hurry. I didn't step in right away. Not because I was afraid. Just because I didn't feel like rushing back into a space that had been taken from me so casually. Eventually, I walked in. Opened the windows. Let fresh air in. That helped. A little. The next few weeks weren't dramatic. No big speeches, no perfect sense of closure. Just work. Lawyers, meetings, phone calls. Mark moved into a short-term rental near Keystone. I heard that from someone at the showroom. I didn't ask. I didn't need updates. Ashley was gone within a few weeks. Apparently, she started asking questions, more than Mark could answer. That didn't surprise me. What did surprise me was how quiet everything became after. No more late-night tension. No more wondering where he was. No more adjusting myself to avoid conflict. Just space. At first it felt strange. Then it felt peaceful. The business steadied faster than I expected. We promoted Greg our operations manager. He'd been there longer than anyone besides us, knew everything, reliable. Customers stayed. Some even came up to me quietly and said things like, "You handled that right." I'd just nod. Didn't feel like a victory. Felt like necessary. Luke came by one weekend with paint supplies. "We're fixing this room," he said. I smiled. "You don't have to." "I want to." So we did. We repainted the bedroom. Soft, neutral color. Nothing fancy. He worked in silence most of the time, focused, careful. At one point, he stepped back, looked at the wall, and said, "You're stronger than I thought, Mom." I didn't know what to say to that. So I just said thank you. Megan came over the next day with bags from Target. New sheets, new pillows. A throw blanket she said felt less sad. She walked straight into the closet, pulled out the robe Ashley had worn, and held it up for a second. Then she tossed it into a trash bag. "Not keeping that," she said. I didn't argue. Some things don't need discussion. That night I slept in the bed again. For the first time since everything happened. It wasn't some big emotional moment. No tears, no breakdown. I just laid there and realized I could breathe. Really breathe. The kind you don't notice until it comes back. That's the thing no one tells you about moments like this. The confrontation, that's just one day. What comes after, that's the real part. The grocery store runs where you wonder if you'll run into him. The quiet dinners. The weekends that feel longer than they used to. There were moments I felt lonely. Moments I questioned everything. Even moments, brief ones, where I felt a flicker of guilt when I heard Ashley had left. But those passed. Because underneath all of it, there was something steady. I hadn't lost myself. I had just stopped stepping aside. For years I adjusted. Made space. Smoothed things over. Told myself it was easier that way. But there's a cost to that. And eventually you feel it. I didn't win.